Welcome everyone to the second week of our seminar on the value of higher education and what the future might hold for us here in higher education. We've had a great series of sessions so far from this WCT annual meeting. I encourage you to go back and review some of the sessions, such as if you didn't see the opening session with Jamie Kassap, he keynoted and reminded us about how higher education needs to start thinking about things differently because those around us are thinking about things differently, especially after COVID. On election day, we looked at federal and state regulations and how those might change as a result of the elections. We had Mildred Garcia of ASCU last week, and she gave us a preview of some of the coming results from the commission looking at the value of higher education, and we're going to get a little bit of that again here today. And that Value Commission is sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And we had noted economist Robert Kelchin give us lots of straight talk about budgetary ups and downs. And I know you heard the word economist, but it actually was very good, and he makes it very easy to understand, and that's a good one to go look back. We also had a great session on OER with Cable Green and Tanya Spilavoy of WCET. And shout out to Tanya. Tanya just won the Midwestern Higher Education Compact 2020 Outstanding Service Award for her work in creating the National Collaborative for Open Educational Resources. More on that to come at another time, but congratulations, Tanya, for that honor. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we have no sessions for you tomorrow, but we hope that you'll pay the proper respects to those who've served in the armed services, and then once you've done that, then you may have time to go watch some of those sessions again. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Rachel Christeson. Rachel serves as Assistant Director for Research and Data Analysis at NC-SARA, State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement folks. There, she provides strategic work on policy research and general data efforts, assisting NC-SARA's annual data reporting and analysis work. She has extensive experience with data systems development and strong understanding of database design, implementation, and utilization. Previously, she worked at NCHEM's National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, where she helped coordinate data analysis and analytics projects there. Her areas of expertise include qualitative and quantitative research methodologies, program evaluation, college and career readiness policies, community colleges, and P-20 pipeline issues. Rachel, thank you, and take it away.
Thank you, Russ, for that very warm welcome. I actually get the real pleasure today to introduce Dr. Michelle Asha Cooper and moderate this session, which should be very engaging and exciting. Many of you may know Dr. Cooper, but Dr. Michelle Asha Cooper is the president of the Institute of Higher Education Policy, or for Higher Education Policy, excuse me, or IHEP, as many of you may know it, one of the nation's most effective voices in championing access and success. As a results-oriented, decisive leader with significant experience in the post-secondary education field, Dr. Cooper is well respected as a practitioner, researcher, and policy advocate, helping reaffirm IHEP's role of ensuring equal educational opportunities for all students. Dr. Cooper is responsible for stewardship of the organization's rich history of addressing the educational needs of today's students, particularly underserved students, many of whom are low-income students of color and adults. A fierce advocate for equity and social justice in higher education, Dr. Cooper is well-versed in higher education access and success, both domestic and international, with a special emphasis on equitable reform of higher education, college affordability and financial aid policy, institutional accountability, diversity and equity, and other national higher education trends and policies. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Michelle Asha Cooper to talk to us today about the value of higher education.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Rachel, for that introduction, and thanks to Megan, Kim, and Russ, and everyone involved with planning this virtual conference experience. It really is great to be here. I also want to thank you all for logging in this morning and for the care and concern that you have for our students, so much so that you are interested in attending a discussion about the value and the future of higher education. Next slide, please. So value and future are certainly kind of buzzwords, and that's what we're going to talk about for the next 40 minutes or so. But before we get there, I really want us to really envision and actually start to build this future together. And to do this, we are going to do some time traveling. We're going to go to visit the future, then we're going to come back here to the present, and then we're going to go to the past, and then we're actually going to come right back to the future. Just like Michael J. Fox's old movies, Back to the Future. I'm sure some of you might know about that movie, but that's what we're going to do. We'll do some time traveling. And I'm going to even talk about cars, not one that is as cool as the one that you may recall from the actual Back to the Future movies, but we're going to talk about cars, and we're going to talk about apples too. So time traveling, cars, apples, and there will also be a test. So lots to do in 40 minutes. So let's jump right on in. And take this quick trip together into the future. No, backslide, stay there. Yep, thank you. Close your eyes, and I want you to think about what life is going to be like in 4 years. 4 years from now, that will be 2024. In 4 years, you will likely be 4 years older, and maybe even a bit wiser. And if you have a kid, your kid's going to be 4 years older too. Perhaps some of you will have kids who are going into college or graduating from college, or you may be like me, who has one in 4 years who'll be going to second grade. So, you know, lots of places to be on that spectrum. 4 years from now will be November 10th, 2024, and we would have just completed our next presidential election. I'm gonna save that discussion for a different presentation though. In 4 years, at our colleges, many of the students who entered in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic will be preparing to graduate, probably with a bachelor's degree. And for those who may be seeking an associate's degree, they may have already earned it. In 4 years, many students would have already transitioned from being a student to being a worker. And some will have jobs in 4 years, just 4 years, that don't even exist today. And I have no idea what some of those jobs would be, I wonder. In 4 years, your own job may even look different. And the question for you is, what would you like to be doing differently 4 years from now? What should our higher education system look like? And just think about that. Think about the future 4 years from now. And dream big. And I invite you to share your ideas of what you would like to see happen in the chat feature. Just drop it into the chat, any ideas you may have. And the question is, in higher education, in 2024, what do we want to see differently in our higher education system? I'll give you just a few minutes to just jot in some ideas. And I'll read a few of them out loud. Anybody? Okay, I see more competency-based education. Anyone else? More prevalence of Z courses. More stackable credentials. So I see a theme here of this connection of workplace education and classroom education are some things that people are talking about. Student-led degree pathways. These are all great ideas. So thank you all for sharing that. And I just want you to continue to think about, what do we really want to see? Because the truth of the matter is, in order for things to manifest, we've got to see it in our minds first. We've got to have that picture, that sort of essence of what we want. And we've got to start thinking, like, what do we want to happen? And I think now is the time to really start putting some of those things into fruition. So let's go to the next slide. So we're here together, and we're here today, and we are separated and connected all at the same time. And as we sit here, there is certainly a lot going on in our world. We are still navigating dual pandemics. And when I say dual pandemics, I mean both the current health pandemic that is brought on by the coronavirus and the longstanding racial pandemic that exists within all of our communities. Both of these pandemics are acute. Both of them impact our society and our economy, and both certainly impact our students and our institutions. And these pandemics have so blatantly shown us the stark inequities that exist all across our country. So wherever you look, you can see disparities, you can see stratification, you can see haves and have-nots in just about every sector, from housing to healthcare to employment to education, you name it, it's there. So given that this is the current state of affairs, it should not be a surprise that there has been increased concern about the value of a college degree. So today, you have many students and families who are asking lots of questions about college. Questions that are longstanding ones, from where to go and where to go to whether to go, what to study or what not to study, how much will I earn and how much will I owe. These are important questions. They have always been important questions, but in this economy and in this climate, they have actually become crucial. So for the last 18 months, you can go to the next slide for me, my colleagues and I at the Institute for Higher Education Policy have been working to create a tool that will help to uncover some of these answers. And we are managing partners of the Postsecondary Value Commission. And we simply call it Value Commission. And the Value Commission brings together higher education leaders, faculty, experts, alongside foundation leaders at the Gates Foundation to examine the value of a post-secondary education. And I heard Russ in his sort of overview of the event talk about some of, he talked about some of the things that two Value Commission members have actually brought up. So Robert Kelchin, he is on our research advisory board, and Millie Garcia is a co-chair of the Post-Secondary Value Commission. So the Value Commission, we are working together with all of these individuals to define value and to measure it so that college leaders can easily demonstrate to students and families why college is worth the investment of time, energy, and money. And this morning, I plan to share some highlights from the Value Commission's work and to solicit your input on our action agenda. But before I do that, I want us to go back to the past. So we've already been to the future, stopped in the present. Now I'm asking you to go to the past. And I'm not asking you to go very far. I'm just asking you to go to March 2020. And that was just 8 months ago, but granted, for some people that might feel a little bit longer. So in March, the coronavirus pandemic halted our daily routines. And before the pandemic, there were already 48 million Americans who lived below the poverty line, and millions more who were one paycheck away from it. And college students certainly fall into both of these categories. So what we saw on our campuses was that overnight, back in March, millions of students found themselves immediately without a paycheck and no easy way to continue their studies. And as a result, many of them stopped out or left college altogether, adding to the already 36 million Americans who have some college but no degree. And as you know, when a student leaves college, they actually do take some things with them. And one of those things is student loan debt. So that's what happened in March for many of our students. But there's more nuance to this issue. So many students stayed, and some of them got creative. And if you go to the next slide for me, many of them got creative, like these students who you see here, and they figured out how to make things work. Some students, like Savannah, did her homework in a parking lot because it was the only place she could find reliable Wi-Fi. Another student I know drove 40 minutes each way to have Wi-Fi at her sister's house, which meant time spent driving and not studying, and the additional cost of gas in a down economy. Now, these are two stories, but there are many more stories like these students who've been struggling. And I know you know these stories because you work every day with students. And so what's happening is that these realities that our students are contending with on a day-to-day basis spill over onto our college campuses, and they have an immediate and direct impact on teaching and learning, interpersonal relationships, campus climates, and even their own success. So as educators, it really is important that we all be mindful of our students, who they are, what their experiences are, and what their diverse needs are. And we also have to recognize that we can have an impact on their lives in big and small ways. And in many ways, I know I'm preaching to the choir here on this one, but these are just really important things to remind ourselves and our colleagues about, because this moment in our time has been really challenging for just about everyone. So I want to take you to the next slide. And this is something that I did a few years ago. A few years ago, I co-authored a book, Becoming a Student-Ready College. My co-authors and I had grown tired of all of this talk about students not being prepared for college. So we decided to flip the idea of college readiness on its head, and we challenged institutional leaders to stop seeking this perfect student, this so-called college-ready student, and instead be the perfect institution for today's students, be a student-ready college. And in the book, we offer numerous examples of promising practices and testimonials of college leaders who have actually made this shift toward becoming student ready. And after years of talking to campus leaders and listening to their stories and working side by side with them to determine solutions for their students, I have come to realize that if you really want to ensure college value for today's students and even tomorrow's students, it actually starts with the institution, not the student, the institution. It starts with those of us who are working at institutions as well as those of us who are leading them. So how does one become student ready, a student ready college? What must we do to offer an education that has value, and what does it all mean? And so to understand this, I decided to talk about apples and cars. Not apples and oranges, but apples and cars. Early on, I told you that we were going to talk about cars today, so this is the time we're going to jump right on in. But I'm not going to talk about shiny new cars. Instead, I'm going to actually talk about used cars. Can you go to the next slide for me? So used car sales have been up. Just click once, just one time. Yeah, right there. Used car sales have been up lately, and they have been steadily increasing due to the pandemic. And as people, who want to avoid mass transportation, but are also more sensitive to car costs given the economic uncertainty, used car sales have been just dominating. Anyone purchased a used car in the last 6 to 8 months? If you have, just put yes in the chat feature. Anybody who purchased a used car, or do you know someone who has? Okay. Well, now you can say you know someone who did, because I purchased a used car in the midst of this pandemic, and I was so nervous about that transaction. For about a month, I researched cars nightly for hours. And keep in mind, the car that I had before the car I just purchased was a 2003. So you can tell I've been out of the car game for a while. So I've researched cars nightly for hours, and I looked at things like cost, safety ratings, reliability ratings, customer reviews. I read consumer reports and Carfax reports. You name it, I read it. I did a lot of research. And then I finally narrowed on my search, and I decided it was now time to test drive some of these cars. And that was a scary and an interesting experience as well, given COVID. Because now you have to make appointments and you have to do a whole lot of things. You can't just walk up on a used car lot or any car lot like you may have done, just a year ago. But when I made my appointment and I went to inspect these cars and test drive them, I looked at everything. I looked for cracks, I looked for scrapes, I looked for dents. I would turn the car on and I would listen to the engine. I would punch all these different buttons to make sure that there wasn't any glitches in the technology and the navigation system. I just did all kinds of stuff. I was super, super thorough. And because of that, I made a purchase and did so with great confidence. And even with that, the dealer came and said they were going to offer me a 3-year bumper to bumper warranty. And of course I took it. I was thrilled to take it. I really felt good about my decision. And I drove away feeling like my purchase had some value. It was an investment of time and energy and money, to be sure, but it was all really worth it. So in addition to driving more over the last few months, another thing that I've been doing a lot of is eating. Anyone else doing a lot of eating? Anybody out there eating a lot? Can you just click once for me for the next visual to come up? Well, one thing that we have been eating a lot of in my household is apples. we eat a lot of other stuff too, including some of the snacks that some people are saying. We eat a lot of other stuff too, but today I'm only going to focus on healthy apples because my kid loves them. We buy them and I try to pick really, really good ones. I look them all over, just like I did with that car. I inspect them. I look to make sure they aren't bruised, that they aren't squished, and I try to pick really, 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 really good ones. But there have been a few times that I purchased an apple that looks good on the outside, only to find out that it was a total mess on the inside, kind of like this one. It's really disgusting, right? Yeah, unlike my car, there's no warranty when it comes to bad apples. You simply have to throw it in the trash. So what do cars and apples have to do with higher education, you may be asking? Well, both illustrate how we make choices, what information we have, how we decide, and what we do when something goes wrong. We all know that higher education can cost these days. It actually costs more than a car, much more than an apple for sure, more than even the car. So why are we then asking students and families to make a multi-car type purchase with the information equivalent of an apple and without any assurances like that which we would expect or want with a car? And what's worse, when our students bite in to a choice that isn't a right fit, they can't reclaim their time, their energy, or their money. Just like a bad apple, you just have to throw all of that away. And we need to start thinking about this when it comes to our students, and we need to start offering them some assurances. We need to make sure that students and families understand their investment before they make it. And that brings me back to the Value Commission. So from the Value Commission's perspective, we want our students to have a quality education that gives them assurances and warranties, just like a car. But we will be also wanting them to help, we also want to help institutions be able to help these students to make really, really, really good decisions. And so from our perspective, what I have learned is that when you work with these institutions, when I've worked with institutions, there are a couple of things that you have to do first in order to make sure that you can be on this path to ensuring value. Can we go to the next slide? And one of these things that we have to do is we have to start with the data or the numbers. I often tell people that it is so important to just know your numbers, the facts. And this is really, really important. You know, when you think about it, doctors recognize the importance of knowing your numbers. Numbers like weight, temperature, blood pressure, and other things. It just is an important part of staying healthy. In fact, a doctor won't even see you until a nurse or an assistant of some sort has come in and gathered these numbers. And it helps our doctors know our status, it helps them manage our risks, and it helps them mark our progress. And the same thing applies to our work in higher education. I believe that knowing your numbers is one of the very first steps to improving our outcomes. Just like at the doctor's office, knowing your numbers helps understand the health of your institution. It helps us to manage risk. It gives us a baseline and a marker for progress. And because of this, we at IHEP are champions for better quality data, not more data, but better data. Data that can give us information about what works and what doesn't work for today's students. You know, sometimes people ask me when I talk to them about data, they're like, Michelle, don't we already have enough data? Don't we already know everything that we need to know? And to their point, it is true that we do have lots of data, but the data are inconsistent and incomplete, especially at the state and the national levels. And at the institutional levels, not everyone is aware of the data or uses it to make decisions. Next slide for me. So in a report we did at IHEP is titled Leading with Data, we shared the stories of campus leaders who are using data to drive change. And many campus leaders are doing this and doing this very well. They want to make sure they offer a high quality degree, and they want to make sure that they can offer some assurances to their students. So they are using data to drive decisions, and those decisions are centered on equity. Now, I'm sure that there are a lot of you on this Zoom call who are actually doing this. You're using data, you're making data-informed decisions on your campuses, and you know your numbers, and you are using them to create plans and launch efforts to better serve students. But that is not the reality or the trend on every campus in America. At some institutions, decisions are just not made on facts. Instead, they are made on anecdote, personal preferences, political pressure, and even the status quo. The status quo, the desire to just keep doing things the way they've always been doing. People just sort of hit the easy button. And in doing that, they ignore the facts. And what happens when you do this, it makes those inequities that are hidden easier to continue to keep manifesting. It's just easier to perpetrate them. And what then happens ultimately is that then leads to rotten outcomes for our students and rotten experience for them as well. So if you really want to achieve, value for students, you have to embrace the facts. You have to know the numbers. And even if you don't like what the numbers show today, you got to get on a plan to moving forward and making sure that you can have those institutional improvements. And then even more critical is that you have to focus on equity. And these days, everyone is talking about equity. Actually, they're really talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. I know you've heard about it. Everybody's talking about it. But I've actually heard lots of people talking about it, or I should say at least enough people talking about it. And I've read enough of the statements on DEI on organizations' websites to know that not everybody is on the same page when it comes to these concepts. In fact, some people are using these words, dare I say, inappropriately or interchangeably when they actually mean different things. So to be clear, and I know you all are super smart people, I just want to be clear about what I see these words meaning. So I just want to define them, and I'm going to define them in very, very simple terms and phrases, just to make sure that at least we here on the Zoom call, that we're on the same page when it comes to DEI. So first, diversity. Simply put, diversity is about difference. So diverse student groups. And inclusion is about welcoming in, including people, such as inclusive hiring practices. And equity is about fairness. Very important, critical distinctions. These words are not synonyms. Equity requires that we are able to see our students as individuals, that we are willing to understand their individual needs, and that we are willing to address the underlying systemic barriers that they are contending with on a day-to-day basis. Next slide for me. So take a look at this image, which is actually about, that one, this image is really about equality and equity. But it's an important image, so I really want to just show it to you because I think it really does capture how important it is to understand individual realities and strengths and challenges. So take a look at the top image, which is about equality. And you'll see here that giving everyone the exact same bike might be equal, but it also means that some people will end up with a bike that is too small or too big, or completely useless to them, as is the case with the woman in the wheelchair. So being equal or doing the same intervention for all really doesn't always help. In most cases, it actually doesn't quite hit the mark for every circumstance. But if you look at the bottom visual shows that when this bike is redesigned and restructured so that everyone's needs are being met, then it does have a purpose. And because a bike's purpose is about movement, we now are able to help these students in this visual move from point A to point B. So a focus on equity really is about providing targeted accommodations to allow everyone to move forward. Equity is about fairness. And equity is at the center of the Value Commission's work, because it is essential to how we should be supporting students, especially our low-income students and our Black, Latinx, Native American, and Pacific Islander students who have not always been served well by our post-secondary institutions and often experience greater challenges to realizing the economic benefits of a college education. When we look at our data and we focus on equity, we will recognize that higher education has been the perpetuator of some of the patterns of racism, oppression, and discrimination that some of our students believe that an education will overcome. And the reason that is happening, it might not be intentional, but the reason it is happening is because our institutions have inequities built into their structure. Inequities can be found just about everywhere at our colleges and universities. For example, inequities can be found in admissions, especially legacy admissions and early decision policies. It can be found in transfer policies that don't allow students to get credit for courses that they've already earned the credit for. Inequities can be found in our advising system and in those advising efforts where we lower expectations for some students and steer them into programs with low potential for future earnings or career advancement. Inequities can be found in remedial courses that force some students to stay in college longer and pay more for courses that do not count towards graduation. There are so many things that are so deeply entrenched within our institutional culture that you may not even realize that these things are choices, and these choices are driving inequitable outcomes and perpetuating a system of haves and have-nots right on our college campuses. So as you move through this conference, the next day and today and Thursday, I really want you to really think about what examples on your own campus may actually be contributing to inequitable outcomes. What policies, what practices, what things are so entrenched into your organizational, your campus culture that you have not been able to see that these things are perpetuating inequities on a day-to-day basis. So in the remaining time, I'm actually want to share some preliminary ideas about the Value Commission's work in our action agenda and solicit your input. Can we go to the next slide? So I want to really talk to you a little bit about, how we're thinking about these ideas, how we have built in equity into our framework, how we are using data. But for the action agenda, it really is all about you. What's happening on the campus, what can be done. And I really want to get your input on what we should include, what we shouldn't include. How can we make this framework as actionable as possible and as deeply focused on equity and value as our students need it to be? So early on, I promised you that there was going to be a test. This is the test. But instead of me grading you, I'm actually asking you to do the grading of us. And so here we have this visual that we just sort of label our honeycomb visual. And it really shows the dimensions of value that the Value Commission is looking at. So one, we have the value to students. We have the value through institutions, and we have value to society. And we use this visual to show the connection points between these various layers of value. So the value to students is in purple, the value to institutions is in black, and the value to students, value to society is in blue. And what you'll see here is that there's this through line that reads pipeline to equitable value. And on that pipeline, you'll see access, affordability, support, completion, earnings, and wealth. And you'll also know that there's some overlaps between the three different colors, meaning that there's overlapping value for students and institutions and society. There are three other purple hexagons that reflect value to students. They are well-being, learning and skills, and social justice agency. And there are other hexagons in black and blue that reflect the value to institutions and society. But for this part of the discussion, I really want to focus on what you see in red and what is on that red-purple, and what is on that through line for the equitable value pipeline. Because those are the areas that really are focused on students and the value that we bring to them. And I want to get your input about some of the practices that we can incorporate into this action agenda. Next slide for me. And this is just a different visual for the exact same thing that I'm talking about here on this next slide. You'll see these are the same 5 areas that are on that pipeline. And I would just love your input about the practices that we should be thinking about. You know, I'm encouraging our team. I encourage and I invite you to think big, to challenge us, to challenge yourselves about what is it that we should be doing to make sure that we are preparing students to gain value from their post-secondary experience. So I actually will be silent here for a little while. I want to hear your feedback. If we can open up the mics, I'm not sure if we can, then we can let people talk. But if not, if you can just post some of your ideas in the chat feature and I'll read them aloud and take notes.
Great, thanks, Michelle. I'm keeping an eye on the event platform so people can certainly post their comments and questions there, as well as the chat within Zoom.
Great.
I've not seen anything posted yet. Oh, here we go. Create a system of advisory and advocacy groups to inform the process.
I'm writing that down. Anything else?
Not yet.
Okay.
Michelle, this is Rachel. I would just add that I think it's interesting that here, especially in number 3, that you're talking about the focus on completion and career opportunities. I know that can be quite controversial in the higher ed world, but at the end of the day, for students to get value out of it, they do have to have learning that, as you say here, contributes to labor market needs. So I think that's a positive thing to include. I'm glad to see you mention it. Again, knowing how contentious that can be within certain groups.
Yeah, exactly. So to the first point around advisory and advocacy groups, certainly one of the things that we are doing with this commission is we do have a advisory committee. The Value Commission itself is a group of advisors. There are 30 advisors on that committee. And then we have a research task force that runs adjacent to it, where there are another 30 individuals or so on the research task force. So we do have that already built in. And what we're doing right now is that we're taking these findings on the road. We're taking this action agenda, like the one we're talking about here, out to people like you to get input, because we want to make sure that it's, like I said, actionable. Things you actually think you can do are things that you dream of the higher education system doing that we need to all aspire to. So we really do appreciate that feedback. And then in terms of the point about completion and careers, certainly, Rachel, when we looked at the data, there was no way to deny that there was an economic lens that we had to look at. And that's the value of starting with the data. What we also realized when we started disaggregating the data and looking at these outcomes, these economic outcomes by race, we realized that opportunities were not equal and they were also not equitable. And you could certainly see that students who would have gone to the exact same college have different outcomes when you disaggregate by race. And there's a whole lot more underneath that I could go into at a different time, but certainly there's a career component which is nested in the economic value, and then there's also the non-economic variables of well-being and learning and social agency and justice that we wanted to incorporate into the framework as well, and you'll see that represented on the honeycomb visual that I showed previously. I see a few more comments here in this chat. Student support systems seem key. Access and affordability are needed, but addressing different student needs and interests helps students obtain their goals. Thank you for that. Certainly will completely agree. And then I see actions that bridge from statement to implementation. Exactly what we're trying to do here. So thanks for the thumbs up on affirming that that's what we want to do. We don't want actions that are just papers on words. I know for sure I can't, I don't want that at all. And certainly my colleagues don't want that either. So we really want to push the move toward movement here. And we see this as really a movement around value and not just a statement about value that we're trying to incorporate. To Rachel, interesting to have more discussion about why career and labor is contentious. Okay, Rachel, that's more homework for you. Some other panels. And then I see another comment. Do we need to see higher ed as a lifelong need, better address those coming in and out as needed? Yeah, I certainly think that that's an important part. And one of the ways that we're trying to get at that point around the lifelong need, Russ, is really about talking about the value to society, those other elements that you see here on that honeycomb framework. So all of that is, all of those thoughts are things that we are trying to incorporate in. So I'm going to ask that you all go to the next slide for me. So on this slide here is really my contact information. I know that I've asked you to think about things in real time, and it's hard to sometimes do that in the moment. So I really do invite you to continue having this conversation with me. Contact me, contact my colleagues, because we really do appreciate and want your feedback. And I just also want to just thank you for taking the time to be here this morning. I recognize that we are all operating and working in this sort of period uncertainty. And I firmly believe that what you're doing and what you're doing right now is so very important, and that we need campus leaders like you to be change agents, working together to better serve students and to ensure that our classroom policies and practices are equity-minded and aligned for their success. Because when we do that, not only do we help our students and help our institutions, we ultimately see that more and more students succeed. So I really just want to say thank you. Thank you for all that you do, and best of luck on your efforts to assure and ensure value for your students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cooper. That was very, very thought-provoking. And I will just add, I really love that equity image. I've seen a lot of versions of, equality versus equity, but I like the idea of focusing on movement, that it's not just about making things equal, but making them equitable so that we can move students forward on their path. So again, thank you very much. We do have some time left. So if anyone has any questions or further comments for Dr. Cooper, we'd be happy to take them in the chat. We've got a comment here just again about making a concerted effort to engage students in the conversation, recognizing that this is more than a checkbox.
Absolutely. We have some students on the commission, and that's a really important point. And in our rollout, we will be talking to students as well. So absolutely. Thank you.
Not seeing any other questions in the event platform. Any other questions from the group here? Well, I'm really excited about this work, Michelle. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to the rollout hopefully in the spring, but we're very grateful that you were able to carve time out to be with us today.
My pleasure. And like I said, I really do want to keep you all involved in the conversation as we move towards that rollout in the spring. So my contact information is here. Please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk more and to share other details about our work that I didn't present here. I'd be happy to talk to you more about that.
Great. And we did receive one question. Yolanda Cunningham asked, is this effort ongoing? And she gave kudos to the effort.
Yeah, so it's going to be ongoing in the sense that we will want to create this action agenda that is actionable, and we'll want to work with institutional leaders to implement it. And then there's a data informed measurement framework that we have that's pretty rigorous. And we'll be working with institutional leaders to teach and show people how to use it as a measurement framework that you can apply on your own campuses, and also as a marker to sort of benchmark where you are today and sort of how to move towards progress and improvement.
Excellent. I'll pass it back to Rachel.
Yeah, I will just leave it at that then. I don't know if Russ or Megan, if you want to add anything about what's next on the agenda, but again, thank you very much, Michelle. And everyone have a great rest of your day.